Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar session series powered by MFPC. For today's session, we have two invited panelists and will be moderated by Mr. Michael Koch-Poon. Mr. Michael is the immediate past president of MFPC and president of Soka Gakkai, Malaysia. He is also the past president of NAMLIFA. He is a well sought after trainer and has been conducting financial planning courses in Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, and Indonesia for the past 15 years. I would now like to welcome Mr. Michael Koch to moderate today's session on the topic of insurance in estate planning. Without further ado, let me invite Mr. Michael.
Well, thank you, Khalil, for all this introduction. And I'm also very pleased that I would like to take this opportunity to say good morning to all our beloved listeners. We are also very pleased to welcome you to our webinar today on the topic of insurance in estate planning on this 17th of April 2020. Now, we already definitely hope that all of you are doing well at home and all of you are safe and healthy. So today, we are also very fortunate to invite two very experienced gentlemen to our panel. So with that, I would definitely like you to welcome one of which is our guest speaker, Mr. Ong Pin Heng. He's the Chief Sales Officer of Allianz Life Insurance Berhad, which is a developing company in the sense that under his good caretaking-ship and under his good management, we can see that the company is developing very well and speedily in Malaysia. So he's very busy, and today we are very fortunate to have him with us. Number two on the list is Mr. Million Lu Wei Hong. He's the Chief Executive Officer of MU Advisory Saranam Berhad. So with these two gentlemen with us, I can assure you they can give their full wisdom and sharing for today's topic. It's not easy to welcome them, to get them in, because we took a bit of time, especially Mr. Ong is a very busy man, and he can take his time for today. We are very glad. So please take full use of today's session, and I hope that from their sharing, you can learn from them. And in the meantime, even in today's topic, I would also like to remind our listeners that if you have any questions, please key in into the chat room. And also, depending on time permits, we would definitely like to our best to answer all your questions. And especially for this session, we know that we have a time constraint too, in order to complete our webinar session. So with that, without wasting time, now Mr. Ong and Mr. Million Lu, welcome. Thank you for coming to join us. Yes. So Mr. Ong, in the first place, I would like to take this opportunity to ask you the first question.
Sure.
Yes, Mr. Ong. Now, definitely we are very pleased to note that Allianz Insurance Berhad is offering estate planning program to your insurance advisors, especially on our RFP Module 5. With this, we appreciate and thank you for your support. The question is, can you share with us why is it important and relevant for advisors to learn and understand estate planning? So, Mr. Ong, all to you, please.
Sure. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. And
good morning.
I am certainly very pleased to be in today and to share my thought on the few questions that to be asked. Now, related to the first question that Michael just asked, why Allianz want to promote this estate planning? I think in Malaysia, we see that the potential for the life insurance market is still very, very huge. And to be in line with Bank Negara's and the government's visions of wanting to have a much higher penetration into the life insurance market, I think the concept of estate planning is actually very crucial. Why? Essentially, if you think about the function of life insurance, basically the function of life insurance is all about estate planning. You cannot do a proper estate planning without the life insurance mechanism, which is to create a legacy, to create a big sum of money from with a very minimal so-called layout. So I think the whole Malaysia's insurance landscape is developing, and given the fact that our economy, the insurance, the what I call the consumers awareness, and also the spending power of the Malaysians have been progressing all the time. I think the life insurance industry in Malaysia need to somehow change and adapt to the new landscape as well. So I do see that essentially life insurance is all about helping people to create a replacement income to take care of family. I think that is the most fundamental of the life insurance function. And to do it right, to get it right, I think it is very important that we make sure that we get our agents back to the very basic of ensuring that their customers are well protected. And that has a very strong linkage with this estate planning. So I would say that this will become something that will gain more and more awareness. People will understand the importance of protection much better, especially after this crisis, where people realize, many people feel that death has never been closer to us, prior to all this. And this is a time where everybody feel that death is definitely much more closer compared to any time prior to this. So obviously, people awareness tends to be higher. And of course, given the situations, also the fact that this country want to become a developed country by a certain period of time, and proper estate planning by every citizen is crucial to play a part in developing the country economy. So that's why I feel that the time is right, that the time has come for our insurance agents to kind of repositioning ourselves of not so much on going out there to sell insurance, but more on going out there to help people to do the proper estate planning, which serve a good purpose of need-based and also serve a good purpose of helping the people, and indirectly probably also helping the society and ultimately helping the health of this whole nation as well. So I guess that's why I have this thought and very much supportive of how to get our agent deeply involved in this estate planning concept.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ong, for a good sharing, because I can see that you people are very proactive to the need of the industry, especially when you mentioned the new landscape that's coming in. And also, it is not only just to sell insurance, but now you're preparing your people to be really good advisors, professional advisors, to help them and look into all their needs, which is very important. And more so now, as because this present moment, people really know that life, you do not know how long can it last.
Yes.
Nobody can know at this moment of time. Anytime it can just take us away. And since you have prepared your people from so early now, I believe your people are in the well situation to go and share with their clients. So coming to the next question, Mr. Ong, it's also interesting that you shared with us just now. Now, why do you think you consider estate planning could encourage or increase advisors' productivity?
Okay, I think everybody here has been in this business for quite long. I guess we all have the experience of helping new agents coming into the business and try to help them to do well. But sometimes we get frustrated. Why? We see that some people from outside, you look at them, it seems to be, having all the quality to be a good agent. But somehow, after a period of time, you realize that they are not doing well. Why? And I had a chance to talk to a few of these people, whom originally I thought they could do well, but ultimately they didn't. So when I talked to them, I realized that they had got one very huge mental block. So the reason they are not doing well is because when I look at their activity, they actually have very few appointments. And when I ask them why, they say, sometimes I just don't know how to start off my conversation. I don't know how to really talk to people, especially those people that I know well. My friend, I feel like it's not really so nice to go and see them, ask them to buy insurance and to kind of earn their money from friends, whatever. But I don't feel good about that. So that's what many of the reason given by many of these people, whom I expected them to do well, but then they did not. Then I realized that is really the root of the problem, that people are afraid of talking about life insurance, sometimes the worst part is that this is the feeling of the life agent. Why? Because of, I think life insurance has been positioned wrongly, that some agents don't really understand the function. They just thought that it's something that people buy for the sake of buying, or people buy just because of a good relationship, you know. So sometimes for some people who want to be more professional, very hard to really open their mouth, you know, and then start the conversation. So that's why I say things have to change, because I think once we really understand more into this estate planning, we realize that well, our agents are not out there to really earn income. They are out there to talk to people, to find out their financial problem, or the potential financial problem. Then they try to offer a solution to help them to plan for their future, to protect their family. And this is, I would say, a very divine responsibility, you know, and agents will feel very good about that. So so that's why I feel that after I talk to many agents about this estate planning, they start to look at this insurance in a very different lights. They start to realize that, oh yeah, you are right. I think we are not really selling insurance. I think we are out there to talk to people, to help them to plan for, to do a proper estate planning, so that in case of any emergency things or any unfortunate things happen, I think we can take care of their family. Hey, I think this is really meaningful. Yeah. Then you see that, you know, you look at the eye of the agents, you know, things start to change. They start to change the attitude, to feel that this is something very professional, very meaningful. And once they find it to be meaningful and what I call helping people, then their urge to go out there to see more people will go up. So of course, you all know that ultimately in our business, it's all about activity. So the more you see, the more that you talk about, you know, the needs that they have, then you tend to perform better. So I think this is how I think estate planning can help to improve the productivity, because number one, it makes the agent feel much better and feel proud about what they do. And secondly, when we talk about estate planning, I think I borrow the words of some wise men in the life insurance business to say that when we are in the insurance business, we don't go out there to sell, we just make people want to buy. All right, so I think estate planning is actually one good way of, after you talk to people about their problem or whatever, people want to solve the problem and they need to buy the insurance. So you end up, I mean, as probably Milan can also share, you know, that many of his students tell him that, well, after I venture into this estate planning, people, my prospects start calling me instead of me calling them. They start chasing after me instead of me chasing after them. So the whole scenario changed. And I think the ego of the agent also improved. Why? Because now they feel that people are actually going after them for solution, rather than like in the past, you know, they had to really chase after people and then sometimes feel like they are asking people to oblige them. Now I think this whole thing changed. So when you feel good about what you do, you tend to do it better, you tend to go more proactive. So I think that will definitely help to improve the productivity of our agents. So that's why I truly believe in this estate planning, and I really see that it will be very effective in improving our agents' productivity. Yeah.
Wow, that's very good, Mr. Ong. I really want to congratulate you, because at your level, at the top management, very seldom I can hear people going down to the, you know, grassroots to meet up with the agents and understand them, and then realize what are their deficiency and where they are lacking. I can see that you really have a very good personal touch with your people, and I really congratulate you on that. No wonder you're doing a fantastic work. And at the same time, you, after talking to them, you're able to see to their needs, and then you come back, you plan to see what are the ways that you and your company can do to help them. So eventually, looks like you're changing the landscape of the insurance industry. It's no more that we are now going out to just force people to buy. Now it's whether we are asking them to take something out that is a necessity, not something of luxury, a necessity that can benefit them and benefit for the family. So that's very good. I congratulate you for doing such a wonderful job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, coming back to that, Mr. On, the next question I'd like to ask you also is on the overall. Now, what is, or do you feel, or you view that the future of estate planning, and you looking at it in this aspect of the development in relation to Malaysia?
I think in some of our company meetings, we have actually made a study, because when I start, I had this idea of going into this estate planning. I obviously need to do a lot of homework and had some meeting to look at certain statistics, right? I think what really make me strongly believe in this estate planning is, first of all, we realize that in Malaysia, right, the gap in protection is really huge. All right. Many people in Malaysia buy insurance. Of course, number one, relationship. Number two, I think we tend to have a very huge saving market. A lot of people buy saving. So that is happening. But when you really look at people's amount of protection based on needs to take care of their family should something happen to them, you can definitely see a very huge gap in that. So that will represent a huge potential for all the estate planner in Malaysia. Now, while we say that our insurance penetration rate, insurance rate is now about 50%, but I think it can easily times another 5 times to 7 times if you want to bring this estate planning estate idea come into the picture. Why? Because some people buy saving, they probably bought like 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, and like for today's living standard, this amount is not good enough at all to protect a family, not even good for a few years. All right, so I think with that, as far as protection gap is concerned, it's a huge gap there for people to fill. And one good way of doing so would be through estate planning. So I can see that if you were to ask me from layman perspective, how big the insurance market is, I would say that if we are talking about estate planning, talking about helping people to plan to get a adequate amount of protection to protect their family, I would say that the market probably is another 5 times or even 10 times bigger than just what we see purely based on the so-called insurable, the insurance rate of about 50%. So that obviously say that the future is very bright. Okay, I can see that the future estate planning in Malaysia, the potential is huge. So obviously, when we start something, then very much depends on how the whole industry do that. I believe soon enough, more people or even more companies will probably do the same thing, which of course is a good thing. Then I think together as an industry, we will be able to do something even more meaningful for our people, for our customers. And of course, as I say, everything that we do in the life insurance industry ultimately will contribute direct or indirect to the building of the nation. So I am very optimistic about the future, and I think that estate planning is the thing to come. So I think let's hope for the bright future, and it's going to be a huge potential out there for us to do our job.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Ong, once again. I see that you really have done a lot of analysis and study into this area. Mm-hmm. And that is also the reason why you are now pursuing to develop your people into estate planning. So yes, when you mentioned about the penetration rate, is very true, because I understand that when I was a president of NAMNIFA and also with MFPC, Bank Negara has always been emphasizing on increasing the penetration rate. At one stage, you're talking about 70% within certain years of time. Now we are looking only still so many years, it's still around 50%. And as you estimated that if really you work through your people, with the industry can increase by another 5 to 10%. That is a fantastic big market, because we are talking of billions of dollars of the insurance industry in Malaysia. Yes. So looks like you're putting your people on the right track. And I should thank you. I mean, if I'm your people in the industry, I would very appreciate with top management like you, who are so proactive and looking into the development of the agency force and looking into the development of the industry, especially in Malaysia. Thank you for all your sharing. So with that, I would like you to take a rest first. Now I would like to invite our Mr. Million Lu to share maybe some of his aspects on his experience on also estate planning. Now, especially Mr. Lu, you don't mind, I can ask you this question.
Yeah,
that's good. Number one is we are aware that you have been working between the two countries, that is China and Malaysia, for many years.
Correct.
Now, what is your view on the estate planning in Malaysia? Or perhaps, if you can you please share with us, how is the estate planning in Malaysia compared to China? Yes, Mr. Lu, please.
Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
Invitation. First of all, also like to congrats Mr. Ong. All this year, I think he's been do a lot of changes. And especially to the insurance industry also, where I think, as I know, there's first insurance company that willing to the financial planning, and definitely the biggest difference between Malaysia and China is at the moment China for the estate planning, I think they're still into the high net worth client, high net worth markets, where these people are willing to pay. That's why in China we have a lot of cases like that they're fee based, so they're not so much on the product selling. And in China, it's quite different also because why this is something I think there's also probably for Malaysia side can learn, where the Chinese government, they're giving out some free will, all right? So this one allow those not able to afford, so they have their own will. They like maybe like something like a Pesuruhan Jaya, they go there just sign in, that in future what happened to them, they would like to pass the asset to who, all right? Probably I think this is something that those not affordable, to set a will. I think Malaysia also facing on this area, and most of us doing estate planning, I think is we can see general populations, but we still at the product base, all right, where probably we are selling some products, and definitely I think the market will change. And I think the biggest part is I think a lot of people still lack of the knowledge and also the importance of estate planning. So probably, or you see, most of us will consider, I already have a will, you see, and I have done a will, so I don't think I have much consideration. So like just Ms. Tong that mentioned, I think will actually just something that allow you to distribute your asset. But the problem will arise when even you have a will, the asset will frozen. So that's why you need the cash to unlock the asset. So I think on the Malaysia side or the estate planning, I think hopefully through the estate planner, insurance agents, and will writer, you can do more. I think we need more education. We need more platform to allow the Malaysian to understand what is the estate planning. All right. So I think I have a chart here, and the second one you can see. You see, I have a chart. We did some survey. All right. On the second chart, you can see on the second chart. Okay, according to my seminar, so and some of the clients, so we did some survey. You see, for the past 5 years now, we found that 70%, okay, 70% of Malaysians don't have will. All right, and 80%, okay, they don't actually update their will. It means they actually probably more than 2 years, 5 years, or some even 10 years. So they don't actually go and review the will. I think doing estate planning is something like you do your account, where you need to do it every year or every 2 years. Okay, and one of the biggest problem here, from our statistic is, we found that about 40% of the estate and the wealth transfer, okay, we can call it are very successful. That means there's about 60% like asset frozen, they need to go to high court, or there's a dispute between the family members, and we can see a lot of cases, especially the tycoon, or those rich people, they got the money, but why they are still facing the problem? I think it's because of the lack of the knowledge on the estate planning. All right, that's why I think the estate planning, the market, we must play a very important role, so that in the future, we can have a better, knowledge over the this estate plan. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Huh?
Yeah.
One thing, this is the first time that I know and I hear from you that China, they do give assist the people to do free will.
Yeah.
And that's really good, because that is also one area where they can help these people who cannot afford to do a proper will, and at least after which then the estate can be properly distributed. The other thing you mentioned, that in Malaysia, there is still so many of these people have not really gone to do their will.
Exactly.
Like what Mr. Ong shared just now, I think you complement also what Mr. Ong has shared. that definitely there's a big market in this part of the estate planning. I thank you for sharing on this area to give such a good highlight and also to compare between China and us here. So this is something we learned this morning. Thank you for that. Then coming to the next question, Mr. Ulu. Now, from all these years, you have been potentially training and encouraging on estate planning. Now, what do you think are the advantages of using insurance to fund estate planning?
Yeah.
So especially now, when coming back to using insurance to fund estate planning, since you have been conducting so many of these sessions, can you share with us in this area?
Okay, basically, the advantages, I think, to me, I think there are 5 very important points. See? Okay, life insurance actually is a key part of an effective estate planning strategy. So why we're saying it's a strategy, because why you see it provides an income replacement to the family and also providing the cash for the children's education. So this is something that what we want to see, you see, should anything happen to us. And also definitely we say protecting the asset, especially mortgage loans and also any sizable estate tax. For example, in certain country, you know, the tax, they have inheritance tax, you know. Insurance play an important role where it immediately pay you the cash. So definitely the second point will it play a vital role in the estate planning, including is preserving the value of the business, you know. And a lot of people, you know, they do business, you know, should anything happen to them, you know, you can see probably the business will collapse. Okay, why? Through this to the insurance, it can giving you the financially strong to the company so that you're able to provide the loss of the key man or even the business owner. So this is the second point, I think, something where insurance is part of the important tools in the estate planning. Okay, we come to the third point, you see. So we can go for the third point.
Yes, the other thing is when and how long should we advise our clients to review the estate planning?
Oh, I think, Michael, I still have 3 more points. That will be the next.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I think there's a third point, you see. The third point, this one is something very important where I think a lot of people, even they don't prepare, especially funeral expenses. So this is the bigger problem, you see. And even though a person passed away, you know, you still have to pay tax. And we have cases where the asset still frozen, where the next of kin couldn't pay the tax, so it still can't unlock the asset. So this is something I think insurance play a very important role, not even the high net worth, but even those normal people, right? And definitely the fourth one, you see. And the fourth one, this is something I think Mr. Ong's, the agency was doing very well, especially why insurance proceeds do not form part of an estate. Therefore, it can bypass the probate, you see, and definitely, you know, through a very similar way, it's called the insurance trust. I think this is one of the way where the client can receive money immediately, all right? And definitely the last one, it will good for, you know, the insurance procedure is to pay up the interest of the business, okay? Like the buy and sell agreement, okay? So we have cases where one partner not around, then the business, you know, got the issue of a dispute between the family members. So I think this is something estate planning, you know, even though we call the business successions. So that's why I think this also play a very important role. That's why I say to me, actually there's a 5 very important point, you know, for our estate planner outside or the insurance agent where insurance did play a very important role in our estate plan.
Well, I can see now that it's very true because on your sharing, especially on business continuation.
Yeah.
Now, normally is if anybody or let's say like sole owner, sole proprietor, or even share partners, anything happen to them, there is always a difficulty on finding cash or cash at that moment of time to continue the business. And who to continue the business is another big problem.
Exactly.
So like when you share, like Mr. Ong also mentioned that estate planning is so important in this aspect, particularly using insurance to ensure then they have this proper cover. And also when Mr. Ong also did mention the outlay of covering this is so small, so minimal, you know, just a small amount of money like in form of a small premium that you can get yourself such a big cover. And this is one thing fantastic about insurance I can see now. More so is what you mentioned is how to unlock the problems that they are facing, especially at that moment of time Like even you mentioned about funeral expenses. That's true now. Funeral expenses is no more cheap now. No more cheap these days. You know, you look at the way that it's been so professionally conducted and so well done. So and anytime the family members, if they have the cash to take care of them for the last funeral rites, that they last last expenses they need to spend, so at least there's some money for them. That is very good. So coming back to the third question on the relation to you, Mr. Lu. Now, the thing is this: after you have conducted estate planning with the clients, even Mr. Ong maybe later can share. Now, when and how long should we advise our clients to review the estate planning?
Okay, so definitely we suggest normally it's about it probably is every year. That will be good. Review your estate plan. There's any changes, or maybe two years. You see, for example, some might have conversion into Islam. So is there any big effect, to the estate? Definitely come to the next one will be the marriage, or probably some cases, the kinds divorce, they have asset, joint name. So what should they do? So through my experience, we found a lot of people, they did their estate plan, but probably it's about 2-3 years, more than 5 years or even 10 years. And they don't actually take it out and sit it down, and consider, what are the changes. For example, another case will be the newborn, okay, a new child, previous when you nominate, do you actually put in a new name for your newborn children, and even the estate plan, we will consider few things. First, probably it will be you must have a will, all right? Because anything happen to you, distribute your asset. Definitely the second part we will consider of do you have a living trust? So that, something that don't go through probate, where you can actually put it in a trust. For example, you have a property, okay? A lot of people are also considering, the asset to pass to the children, without going to the probate. So I think buying a new property, so something I think that we will consider also, right? And definitely like changing job, starting your business, probably retirement, or do you have supporting parents, you see? So these are the things that we got to look at it, during the planning, So just like I did mention, the first thing, what we have in the estate plan should definitely will be a will. Then second will be the living trust. So the third one, or my suggestion is do on the funds, how much to fund this estate plan. So that means that should anything happen to you, do you loss of income, the income replacement from where? So that's why I say insurance is one of the very important role, that we need to go to. Okay, where do you have any children, when they reach certain age, the education fund, how much you need to have, okay? Then we come to, if you are the businessman, okay, what happened? So something happened to you. So you might have some business liability, loans, and also your creditor coming after you. So the insurance is to pay off all these things. So to make sure your family enjoy the comfort of the life, you see. So that's the reason we need to review our plan, To me, I say it will be good, we do it every year, all right? Then the fourth one, I think important in the estate plan, it will be the insurance policy. Okay, so why? Because a lot of people, they don't know who to nominate, or they nominate husband, or the husband nominate the wife. So these are the cases we will consider, like what happened, husband and wife die at the same time because of common disaster law. Okay, so that's why I say, I think outside most of the our clients, at the previous we faced, so they used to put husband and wife as a nomination. That's why I say one of the best way, estate plan, you could create an insurance trust where the money can pay direct, to the beneficiary without going to probate, or even both husband and wife not around. You're able, that the money can go to the beneficiary. So the fifth one, so we will probably consider a power attorney. Okay, so like for example now, I think everyone also facing this problem, like what happened, if they have a coma, so who is the one to make decision for you? Because if you to will, to trust, it must be something that, like will, the person pass away, only you can use it. But what the person in a coma or you become disability, he can't talk. So the power attorney, I think, is the fifth thing is quite important that we need to review. So at least you need to appoint someone to handle your health situation, giving directions, to settle, which doctor to go. So this is something I think we should also review in our estate plan. See, Michael?
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's great. Now at least we can see why is it so important to do review in
Yeah.
all this asset planning. So, Mr. Ong, you like to share and on this area,
Yeah,
especially related to in insurance and asset planning on
yeah.
review?
I think this is a very good question. In fact, this is also I would say a good follow up for our agents, because if you sell insurance, and when the client buy the insurance from you because he try to oblige you or try to support you, very difficult for you to tell him, okay, next year I come back, say next year
Yeah,
don't ask me to support you again or whatever, right? But
yeah,
if you
correct.
talk to your client from the perspective of estate planning, okay, and every time you close the deal, you say that, okay, thank you so much, Mr. So and so, thank you for allowing me to serve you. And estate planning is something so important to you and for your family. And I promise you one thing, okay, that I will make sure that once a year at least, I will come back to you to sit down with you to go through, your latest situation and to see that whether there's any need, to make any changes on the estate planning.
Yes,
So
yes.
then you create a very good so-called reason, for you to go back to your customers on the regular basis, without having to worry about what am I going to tell him this time? Am I going to ask him for me again? No, you don't need. Why? Because sometimes some people may even call you, and ask you to see them more often. Why? Because as I say, circumstances may change. Like Miriam mentioned just now, maybe giving birth to a new child or whatever. All these will warrant some changes to the estate planning. So you will have a lot of opportunity to continue meeting up, seeing your client, and in so doing, opportunity tend to arise. Then you will have more opportunity to serve your customers better. So this review will be something very very good. That will give you a good reason why you should see, or maybe sometimes you don't even need to ask to see them. They will just call you because they understand the purpose of this estate planning. So I think this review is actually a good thing to help our agent to do a lot of follow up, which will probably give them a lot more opportunity to serve more people in the future. Yeah, back to you, Michael.
Yeah, it's good. Now, actually, both of you are sharing one of the steps in financial planning, particularly on the 6 steps. And review is one of the steps of the 6 steps. So it looks like it, in fact, review is so important now that we can see. Besides, getting information initially and analyzing all the information and do all the recommendation. And now you got your client covered. But after which, how? And what should we do then? So I can see that from your sharing. So there's many more business for and advisors to do and continue to have more clients at the same time saving the same client, which many areas they can give your professional advice to the client, which I believe will be very good for the clients. So I can see that, Mr. Ong, you are putting in your people in the right footpath and you're developing them into that area on the proficiency and also be a real good estate planning professional. Now I can see that there are some questions coming in on this the questionnaire, especially this is mentioned by one Kimi here. It asks, is estate planning a very complicated affair? Can you please share? Yes, any one of you can take this question. Or Mr. Ong, can you like to take it first? Is estate planning a very complicated affair? The question being posted here.
I would say that estate planning is not complicated, but it is sometimes made complicated by the practitioners. Right? Just today, you can see that now many people are using this Zoom or any web app, to conduct the meeting. Proud to that, everything that this is very difficult. Even when our agent want to do this remote sales using all this technology, proud to that, everybody think that it must be very complicated. But you see, then we are human being. Is a learning, is a learning creatures. That's how we are here to learn. So I think estate planning, if you were to ask me, it doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, it is really something very, very simple, because I do believe that when you want to go out there to explain to people, if you make things so complicated, people will never buy anything that they do not understand. So if you want to help people to make a purchase decision, you have to make them really understand what they are buying. So I think my cooperations with the MFPC, with a lot of these institutions on this estate planning is actually part of my effort want to make this whole thing simple and common, so that it will be able to kind of like reach out to virtually everyone who need this estate planning in Malaysia. So obviously, I think it is actually not so difficult, because if it is very difficult, then it will just be belonging to the minority. But in our case here, I think it has to be something, you know, that eventually to be reach out to everyone, and it is actually a very simple concept. So sometimes things you look at that, it looks complicated, but when you really understand it, you know, you realize that it is not. So my answer is yes. Estate planning is really not complicated at all. Sometimes it's just made complicated by the practitioner who do not know how to digest it. You know, so that's why we need all this training to like this sharing workshop, you know, to communicate, to make people understand what really is this estate planning all about. So it is not so difficult, I believe.
Yeah, you see that. So listeners, you can see here now. So don't be afraid of looking for people, professional people to help you in estate planning. As Mr. Ong has mentioned, it's very true. The only thing is when we do not know, you think that it's very complicated. But once you know, you see that it's something very reasonable and very usable. So, Million, Mr. Lu, have you got anything to add in this area?
Okay, definitely I will agree with Mr. Ong, you see. For me, I think estate plan is quite simple, as I'm giving the 5 points, you see. And I think you still need to depend on how complicated to that person, okay? If let's say, if you have a very simple things, you just have a normal view, then you get insurance to fund it, okay? That's a very straight to the point, okay? I think maturity will fall into this category. For definitely when come to, I think some people will say complicated means that probably they have a lot of assets, or they may have, you know, a few wives, you know, and children. So this is a situation they might stuck there. They will feel quite complicated and how they want to start it. So I think this is, like Mr. Tong say, it's just a minority, a small group of people. But the maturity, I think, is quite simple, straight to the point. You see, the estate planning, I think, it's not a very difficult step. You see, I think that our industry need more agents, estate planner, financial planner to let the audience know, you know, actually estate planning is a very simple steps. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your good sharing. And that definitely will ease out a lot of the problems that many of our friends are facing, particularly our listeners. And many of our listeners, I believe, are also in the industry. Possibly some of them are not even in industry. They're also looking into this area, which they might not know. And with your sharing, at least it can help to open their minds out. And then, which is any of the people, advisors, will be reachable to help them. There's another question, Mr. Ong and Mr. Lu. Possibly you would like to have to tackle this. Now, in your course of work on estate planning, what do the high net worth clients look for in estate planning? Mr. Lu, you can like to share this first.
Okay.
What do a high net worth client look for?
High net worth client, I think they are facing two biggest problems. One is how to transfer the asset. We call it wealth transfer. All right. And the second part will be the successor. Who should receive? And will these people capable to manage the asset? I think most through all our experience, we face cases where the client, you know, they will ask first thing, okay, how to transfer this asset. It's definitely second one, that will be the successor. So will my successor capable to handle it? And will they able to manage it? So I think these are two biggest problems for the past few years that we encountered. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ong, you're like to share?
Yeah, Million is a real expert in that. I think he has answered that question, you know, but I just got a sub point to add is that when I'm doing this estate planning in my company, I actually, my thought is very much like what this Asia used to think, you know, that make everyone can fly. Yeah. So my purpose of this estate planning, you know, is try to make this estate planning affordable to everyone. It's like everyone can own, everyone can do an estate planning. So I don't have that much experience like what Million do, because obviously he is expert and we are just starting off. But we have a few cases of that nature. But I think the purpose is exactly like what Million said. But for me, the purpose of estate planning in our case here is very simple. We are trying to reach out to more people. So meaning that it will not be confined to just high net worth people, but even like a small, medium business owner, when you have some debt to clear, business succession, that sort of things, whatever. So sometimes even a cash of like 1 million, 2 million is probably sufficient. In a small town, probably even half a million will do. So we try to make it affordable. Then only this whole thing will be able to reach out to every corner in the society of Malaysia. Okay, so I guess for me, there's one purpose, which is to protect the family or to protect the business to continue. So that will be the purpose of people who want to do estate planning in my perspective.
Wow, that's really good, Mr. Ong. You really fulfill what Mr. Lu has mentioned. At the same time, you really look into such a wider scope, not only on high net worth, but at least to anybody who needs it, even small sole proprietors or business people. And that is something which is very good on your sharing. So it looks like it is very encouraging to our agents, like whereby whoever you are, wherever you are, you have the market to tap, whether it's high net worth or even simple businesses owners. Now, then again, there's another question being posted by Mr. Nima here. He says that since you mentioned about, using insurance in estate planning. Now, the question is, how and what type of insurance can they use to complement estate planning? Mr. Ong, can you share, maybe you're in the industry in insurance, possibly you can like to share with us first?
Obviously, I think it is the function of the life insurance that can help to serve the objective of estate planning. And when we talk about, just like Mila mentioned just now, the most important advantage of using life insurance to do this estate planning is the ability to use a small outlay in exchange for a big amount of so-called protection amount. So that naturally lead to the fact that protection-driven plan, like a whole life, like a investment-linked product where protection is very much emphasized, is probably more appropriate under most circumstances, right? But as I say, right, different people has got different needs. That's why sometimes things can get complicated. But I would say that in general, majority will just need the protection-driven product to serve the purpose of estate planning. So that is the easy part. But of course, you will always have minority which have different needs, at a different stage or whatever. Then I think other type of insurance product can come into the picture. But basically, I would say the majority a protection type of whole life or investment-linked product is probably the most suitable. And in our case now, I think this kind of policies, product, plan is basically the most number of cases under this estate planning has used this kind of plan for that objective.
Oh, that's great. So it looks like it. Anybody who goes into estate planning, when they buy any insurance policies that is recommended to them, so that they can be assured of it can also help to take care of all their needs. And that's very good assurance. So, Mr. Lu, you like to share anything on this area with us?
Definitely, Mr. already mentioned, I say in now maturity, I think the whole life or the investment link, is part of the estate products. Definitely, there will be some product like probably there's a cheaper one. That's why we still need to depends, the client's affordability. I think terms is very cheap. All right, terms insurance.
Term insurance, yeah.
And we have cases where client, they might have some loan, with the bank. So not for about 10, 20 years, probably they have a 5 years or even a 7 years. So this is term loan, so they can have a term insurance. So I think it will be a short-term product also, as I can say, beside the whole life and investment. All right.
So virtually, most plans can actually be considered for estate planning, as I can sum up from you people.
Right.
Now, number two is most important is the affordability. So professional advisors in the industry will be able, under your good training, Mr. Ong, that they'll be able to recommend the correct plan with the right premium. I mean, the important thing is to meet the affordability. Then at least with a cover that is taken up on the insurance plan, insurance itself, then at least they are well assured that the plan is well taken care of. Yeah, thank you for that. Now, coming to, I can see some more questions coming in, Mr. Ong. because there's this issue, personally, because we are in this COVID-19 situation where we are all under MCO. Now, the question is this, that particularly now, when many of your clients or policyholders might be facing some problems with funding or work and things like that. Now, if that's the case on this present moment, now when they can not pay the premium, now can the policies the policyholders will find it difficult to ensure that they get the protection that is required now, when even putting food on the table is also one of the challenges. So for that instance, do your company consider something like premium holidays or something for a period of time, and they can put off the premium, like the housing loan now they can consider for them, or even like a car loan they can consider for them for the next 6 months. So can your company consider this type of services to your clients? Mr. Ong, can you please share with us?
Sure. Yes, I think during this period of time, I can see that the life insurance industry has played a very meaningful role in understanding the plight of customers, policyholders, and also together with the government, of course, have come up with various measures to try to help easing the burden of our customers, okay, during this very difficult time. And some have already been mentioned by our Prime Minister. Yes, on the more specific purpose, should any policies during these 3-month periods fall under the situation where the policy may lapse, should the fund value or whatever is not sufficient? Yes, I think during this period of time, company does provide a so-called no lapse guarantee, right? So that the customer will not have to worry about their policy being lapsed due to insufficient so-called fund as per the normal policy document during this period of time. All right, so that is just a small part that we as an insurance company do as a social responsibility to make sure that at this time where people as you say, the fund is difficult to come by, and also probably cannot afford to pay the premium due to all these stock thing or pieces, whatever, then they may have difficulty. So we are doing our part to support our customers in making sure that at least in terms of protecting the family, the function can continue even if the fund may not be sufficient. So we do have this no lapse guarantee measures in place, for our customer during this period of time.
Oh, that will be great. I think that is the greatest assurance to your customers. I believe this has been practiced in the industry. Is that, am I right to say that? And
I'm not too sure yet whether it's industry, but I believe it is an industry because many meetings has been called by Liam, together with Namrifa, whatever, and many discussions has taken place. So of course, I can see that Namrifa has put in a lot of recommendation to protect both the agent and also the consumers, right? And I think that insurance company being a responsible organizations, I think that they are doing everything that they can. So I believe this is going to be this is an industry practice, to make sure that all our policyholders is protected. And I'm also sure that the government would also make sure that the industry do that. Just like when Prime Minister announced that these are so-called 3 months premium deferment, right? That is something that's applicable to the whole industry. So I'm sure that the whole thing will actually be applicable to the whole industry as well.
Well, that's very interesting. Now, let's say, for example, they also ask this question here. I can see from Peggy here. She asked, now, let's say if these few months they never pay the premium, after that, when this MCO is over or certain period of time is over, let's say like housing loan and car loan, they are given 6 months. Now, what about the insurance company? So what do they do? And with a few months that they have not paid the premium, so do they have to repay back, or is there any way that people can help them in these areas? Or what can you advise them to do?
At this point of time, I think because I think there is so many uncertainty lies ahead. No one knows what's going to happen. So as far as the insurance company is concerned, I think we take the approach of that we also look at the situation and then we make decisions on a so-called day-to-day basis, right? The most important thing is to immediately make sure that our client welfare is being well taken care of. But I think it's very difficult for any insurance company to, at this point in time, give any long-term commitment because it's simply do not know what is going to happen. All right, but I'm sure that just like in our case, we have meeting every day. You know, we look at the statistics now. We get feedback from the agents, you know, every day to size up what do we need to do. So one thing for sure that we know is now this is a time that we have to show the customer that we do care. You know, that we are with you always, as our tagline say. So I think yes, I think if you were to ask me technically, of course, you know, if you look at all those actual calculation things, whatever, eventually all this has to be given back, because that involve things like, you know, the fund, the account funds, whatever. That is kind of complicated. So I will not be speaking on behalf of the accountants or the CFO on that, you know. But I can say only one thing, that you can see that so far, insurance companies, not only just Allianz, but I think the whole industry as a whole, is trying to play this part to show the people of Malaysia that in times of need like this, we are with you. So that's why we have come up with various methods, including, I think a lot of companies also have some additional coverage on the COVID-19 related so-called treatment, that sort of things, whatever. So it shows that the industry do care about the people. So I can only say that that is a stand, and we will make a decision on the day-to-day basis. But ultimately, the people welfare is in our mind.
Well, that's the most important, most important. People welfare are in your mind. And that is great in times of need like this. But definitely, whatever they're not paid, when the time comes, when they can afford, they must pay. This is to be fair, because when you're taken care of for a period of time when you're in need, and at the same time, the area that you're not paid, because in time your time comes, your policy amount will not be sufficient to cater for the amount of cash in the policy, might not be able to cater to long term, which is fair. Because why? Even bank, the interest for the 6 months, they have not paid. But after the 6 months, they still have to service the interest. Either they pay one lump sum or they have to spread it over the next period of time, depending. So that's up to them with the bank. And that's great. And that's great. Now, one more thing is there's this Miss Kimi here also asked. Now, particularly so, especially on some of these, they call it the automatic premium loan, that, you know, you insurance company do at once to pay the premium when they don't service the premium. Now, normally automatic premium loan, APL, also will involve interest charges. At the same time, also some of the clients has also mentioned that mentioned here that when they take loan, the policy also has got interest charged. So how do your company handle this? Do you still charge them the interest in this period of time, Mr. Ong?
Yeah, I think because in my company, Allianz, basically, I would say that 80 to 90% of our policy are basically the so-called investment link type. Okay, so you know that technically investment type doesn't really have a so-called APL, but rather it is premium holiday. And premium holiday, we say that it's a policyholder's money, we don't charge interest. You know, so basically there's no interest. It means the answer is there's no interest charge, you know, when you put it under the premium holiday. Now, for the very minority of these so-called old traditional policy, then only you have this so-called automatic premium loan. But I think the company stand is that during this 3 months of time, we will not charge the interest. Okay, I'm not too sure about other company practice, but as I say, I'm sure that the whole industry is, as I say, taking note of the customer's pride during this very difficult time, and do whatever we can, you know, to release the financial burden of the people as much as we can for those people who are really in dire situations. So as far as we are concerned, it's a minority, but we don't charge the interest on APL during this 3-month period. But majority of case will be no issue because it's basically investment linked product.
Yeah, that's great. That's one of the advantages of having investment linked product. Where whatever funds they have, they can help to service the policy. Number one. Number two, Number two, you also mentioned that, you know, during this period of time, people are looking into to ensure that the policy are enforced, and that is most important. Because why? If anything happens now, nobody can know what can happen to any one of us. So at least if the policy enforced, whatever it is, the sum assured is there, and the family can be assured, and that is really great of your company and all this the insurance industry looking into this area. I congratulate you people for really at this moment of time when everybody is facing such great difficulties because of this COVID-19, and all of you are looking into ways and means to ensure that the welfare of your people are well taken care of. So thank you for all your time. Looks like we are running short of time. because we have already gone through, exceeded our time, but never mind. Just before we say bye-bye to our listeners, maybe Mr. Lu, you'd like to share the final part on an advice to our listeners or the viewers before we end? Just a short sentence, Mr. Lu.
It's great that I think MFPC doing a good job now, and we're having a good platform. I hope in the future, have more this type of teleconference, and also have a more platform, to promote the importance of estate planning. And here I would like to wish everyone have a good health, stay positive, and stay healthy. Take care.
Yeah, thank you for your good message. We always take that in mind. Mr. Ong, what about from you?
I think that, buddy, let's stay positive, stay strong, because this is not the end of the world, right? I think business as usual, just we are doing things differently, that's all right? We should be fortunate to think that we are all safely at home, enjoying our meal, enjoying the TV program, and still interacting with friends, all this. Also, to some extent, we are very lucky. So let us support our frontline medical people by staying at home, make their job easier, and if possible, then try to do whatever form of donation to buy all these protective gears, for our heroes in the frontline. So let's build this nation together, and let's support our heroes together. So I wish all of you, safe and strong. All right.
Yeah, once again, I thank you, both wonderful gentlemen, for giving us your time and sharing your wisdom. And at the same time, the welfare that you people are looking into to take care of the people in Malaysia. More so is the good words that you've been sharing with all of us, and the very kind generosity of you people. At the same time, also, it is so important that at this moment of time, we stay separated, but we're united together as one. And that's important. Number two is to stay safe, to be at home, more time with our family now. Those days we are so busy with traveling around, we don't have much time in the family, in the home. Now we have time. But even though in the home, we are still busy, zooming around, meeting around. Mr. Ong, I know you're so busy all these years, all this while. So eventually, I also like to take this opportunity to thank MFPC for giving us this opportunity to conduct this webinar. And I can see that the sharing from our very worthy gentlemen on the sharing and on the caring that they have shared with us. It is something very good for knowledge, for wisdom, and something for us. If you have not acted on it, now's the time for us to take action, and that's important. Don't be late. Eventually, also, I also must thank our staff from MFPC for working even during this period of time when they are helping to host this webinar. And also, most important thing is, as Mr. Ong has said, I would also like to repeat one more time that we like to thank our frontliners, especially in the medical profession, in the maintaining the roads and maintaining the security and all these frontliners, where they need a lot of assistance from us. The only best way to assist them is stay at home and be safe. And also those of you as whom you can afford to contribute, because today I understand that the PPE, which is very short in need by the medical profession, they actually need a lot of support. Now, on our part, as myself as president of Suka Kakak in Malaysia, we're also looking into this area to support them as and when they need. So with that, all the good effort of all citizens of Malaysia, I wish you all the best. And once again, thank you all for being with us and then listening to us. So hopefully we have got a good opportunity to meet again. So Mr. Ong and Mr. Lu, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, see you then.
So much. Everybody take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yeah.